All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to talk about the coaching carousel. I'll give you some coaching carousel updates as we wind down here, the final segment here. So obviously the big names out there are Mike Vrabel, Jim Harbaugh, and Bill Belichick. Now the Falcons they announced on their social media platforms that they finished their interview with Bill Belichick. So Belichick did visit the Falcons. Listen, I don't think that's a bad fit. You got a lot of young offensive pieces, on that team. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, nice 1-2 combination there. The thing that they are missing is the quarterback. So it'll be interesting. And, obviously there's rumors out there that, the Falcons maybe could try to get Justin Fields from the Bears because the Bears, they could use that number 1 overall pick on whatever quarterback they want if they choose to do that. So I don't think that's a bad spot for Belichick. Also, I heard there's like mutual interest between the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. And listen, that'd be a good fit for Harbaugh. Again, team that has a lot of offensive weapons. You got Justin Herbert, who's a franchise quarterback. You got to just fix up that defense, and that's something that Harbaugh can definitely do. So we'll have to see if that ends up happening. With the Cowboys, they haven't done anything yet with McCarthy, but I expect McCarthy to be gone. I think he should. I think him and Dan Quinn should both be gone after the performance they put on Saturday. On Sunday against the Packers. I just still cannot believe it. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. That was a enjoyable to watch, but I mean, the defense just falling apart and just I don't know what to say. With the Eagles, they just couldn't tackle. The Cowboys, they were just leaving people wide open. It just as a Giant fan, it was a good weekend. So we'll put it like that. But for the Cowboys, I mean, you got Harbaugh out there, you got Belichick, you got Vrabel. I mean, unless you could definitely get one of those guys, I mean, do you stick with McCarthy? But I feel like you're just not going anywhere with McCarthy. And people talk about, if they brought in a guy like Belichick, there could be a power struggle there. Because Belichick had a lot of control over the Patriots. I mean, he was basically the general manager, which is kind of one of the reasons why, there was the falling out in New England. Jerry Jones has a lot of control, and, seeing on social media, the only way Dallas is going to get back to their winning ways is if Jerry Jones, he takes a step back and he lets somebody else make the decisions, which I don't disagree with. But you know what? As a Giant fan, I hope that continues. I hope he continues to, make the decisions, and the Cowboys just continue to, go in the same circle they've been going in for pretty much my entire life. That's the Cowboys that I've come to know, is just they get to the playoffs and they don't do anything. Listen, there are some very good coaching candidates out there that would be upgrades over Mike McCarthy. And actually, I want to see, has Mike Vrabel visited with anybody? I don't think he really. I don't think he has. I'm curious to see where he ends up too. Because for me, as a Giant fan, I'd take him. It's going to be interesting. The Chargers and the Falcons, I think, are they have the skill position players. The Chargers have a quarterback. The Falcons don't. I think if McCarthy gets fired, then you could put Dallas in there as a good destination to go to, because the talent that they have on this team is incredible. They just haven't been able to take the next step. But I think the Chargers, for me personally, out of those three teams, I think that's the best destination. I I don't know, because for me, I look at like the quarterback. I honestly would take Herbert over Dak. You know, if everything is if the chips are aligned, I'd take Herbert. Because I think Herbert's ceiling is higher than Dak. Dak is what he is. You know, hasn't had postseason success. Now, I say that, but Herbert was a part of the 27-0 collapse. Now, that wasn't just on him. That's also on, you know, Brandon Staley as well. Um, I don't know. I feel like for Herbert, you could go if you could fix up that defense, and you bring back, all the pieces on offense. I don't know. I kind of like the Chargers' destination more than I would like Dallas. But again, Dallas would be up there if McCarthy gets fired, which I think he should be, because somebody's got to be held accountable for that performance. I mean, unless you just let go of Dan Quinn and bring in another defensive coordinator. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly would take the Chargers job. But that's just me. The Panthers. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to go there with everything going on over there and just how the year went. Somebody's gonna have to take it. Somebody's gonna have to fix that. But there were teams that did conduct interviews. There's the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. He's been getting a lot of traction lately. Mike McDonald, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. He's somebody that is a candidate that maybe a team would bring in. I don't know. For me, I feel like the way the game is now, I feel like you want to bring in, offensive guys. But we'll see what happens. I saw that Steve Wilkes, he also, he was interviewed by some teams as well. I mean, what he was able to do he should have been the Panthers head coach, this year. What he was able to do, when he took over for Matt Rule last year. He didn't really get a fair shot. So that was another one. We'll see. But I don't think there's been any. Again, I don't think there's been anything with Vrabel, but I don't know. And then you look at the Raiders too. I mean, are they going to end up keeping Antonio Pierce? Because if the Raiders don't, Max Crosby is going to request for a trade, and he's going to want if they don't bring back Antonio Pierce, and you got all the players advocating for him to stay as the head coach, and he did a nice job. He really did a nice job, because if Josh McDaniels, stayed as the head coach, I mean, who knows what record this team would have ended up with. They were able to beat the Chiefs on the road with Antonio Pierce. I mean, they put up 60 points. Against the Chargers. I know the Chargers are kind of mailing it in to get rid of Brandon Staley, but that shows that you're playing for this coach if you're putting up 60 points. I feel like Antonio Pierce should. I think he's earned the right to stay as the head coach, but I don't know. Mark Davis might want to bring in a bigger name like Harbaugh. Yeah, I mean, you still got Washington. That's another team that Belichick's been connected to. I'm hoping that Belichick doesn't end up in the NFC East. I'd rather him go somewhere else. But I mean, maybe it's the Falcons. Maybe it could be the Falcons. Listen, hey, you pulled off an improbable comeback against them in the Super Bowl. Maybe you're going to be the coach that brings them a Super Bowl. How about that? I would take that. But the problem is they need to figure out the quarterback situation, because their defense is solid too. But they need to get a quarterback in there. I don't think trading for Fields would be a bad idea. I mean, you'd put him in a good situation, and maybe they unlock something. But I don't know. It'll be interesting because it's not going to be Desmond Ritter. It's not going to be Taylor Heineke. Um, Actually, I think it'd be insane if you had Harbaugh and Belichick just end up in the AFC West. So then you got those two to go along with Sean Payton and Andy Reid. I think that would be insane. Um, if they all ended up there, which I don't think is going to happen, but you never know. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, and obviously something we'll keep an eye on. Within the coming weeks, of course. The hires will start will start happening. Dominoes will start falling there, and once that happens, we'll cover it. But for me, I'm advocating that Belichick and those guys they just stay away from the teams in the NFC East, and because listen, if Sirianni and McCarthy are gone, I mean the Eagles and the Cowboys are going to be attractive spots to go to, and one of those coaches could feel inclined to take the job if it's offered to them. But again, nothing's happened yet. At least I don't believe. Um, but we'll just have to wait and see. We will just have to wait and see. And I thought that because my friend said something when I first woke up, and I thought, oh, did they let go of Sirianni? But it doesn't seem like that's the case. He's still the coach. So when we if he ends up getting fired, we'll make sure to talk about it. But we'll see. Nothing has happened yet. But for the Cowboys and the Eagles, they definitely got to make some changes because how their seasons ended. I mean, the Cowboys, kind of just came up out of nowhere, getting blown out by the Packers at home. The Eagles, they've been trending down for a while now. So. Again, it was a good weekend. For me, it was a good weekend. So, like I said, if something happens, we'll make sure to we'll talk about it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show for today. We are now moving on to the divisional round here in the playoffs. Excited for this weekend. I could just enjoy the playoffs now. I don't have to worry about the division rivals still in it. Whatever Super Bowl matchup we get, I'll be fine with. Obviously, you prefer a good game. But there's really no team left in the playoffs that I dislike. So all these games, whoever wins. I mean, it's gonna stink for whoever loses this weekend. But I'm fine with whatever we end up with. Just as long as we end up with good games, I'm fine with that. But yeah, we're moving right along. And again, any updates, come with, head coaching positions being filled, we'll make sure to talk about it on future shows, whether it's this week or, within the coming weeks as well. Because obviously that's mixed in now with all the playoff stuff. But yeah, Super Wildcard Weekend is over. It is now behind us. We are down now to, we're down to the final 8. And then that gets cut in half, and then you're down to 4 teams the following week. So, yeah. But that's pretty much it for the show for today. Again, thank you guys for watching. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.